Yeah, I got 3 weeks left as of today. She got dropped off exactly 1 month ago.
Okay.
I got 3 weeks left to eliminate the breaking out of crates, the whining, and having her do all her commands, and being off leash. That's where I'm at.
That's pretty much like our program is 3 weeks. So if she were dropped off today, we could have it done in 3 weeks. So it is doable.
Well, it is.
Yeah, it is doable. Have you been doing heel work, like long distance recall, all that?
Yes, I started that like on the 3rd day.
Okay, cool.
You know, but if she masked, like, that's what I wanted to do, is get the whole concept. So you had somebody had mentioned in the videos that it was 6 days consistently of that training for recall. Is that correct?
Yeah, so let me walk you through what we do from day 1 on.
All right, I think today's going to be lecture day.
Day 1, yeah, day 1, dog comes in. We get a crazy before video where it's like pulling, barking, whatever. Tools go on, and we immediately start with recall. So every time the leash gets tight, beep, 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 dog goes, what's that? We're not adding the word come yet, but we beep, 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 and then stim and guide the dog towards us. Good boy.
Let's get clarity here. Don't add words. All right, so when you say beep, 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 we're talking tones,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
3 tones and then 1 stim.
It's a stim and it could be a dial up. Okay, so we could be holding it and dialing up because we're looking for the dog to react, turn towards us, and come to us. As soon as the dog turns and comes, pressure goes away.
When dog turns and comes, okay.
Yep.
Right.
And at this point, there's really no commands. It's the concept of every time the leash gets tight, we recall you. Without using the word come. Tone, we're teaching them that when they hear tone, if they don't turn and come to us, stim turns on. And then there's leash guidance towards us. That's the answer. We don't end that session until we are tapping the tone and the dog drops everything and comes to us. And they learn that through corrections for not coming to us. The leash is the answer. So within a couple reps, you should be able to stop giving leash guidance. Because they learn really fast. If they don't listen to that tone, there's a correction coming.
All right. How long do you suppose that lesson is on average?
God, some dogs, 20 minutes. Other dogs, I've seen it go up to an hour and a half.
Okay.
Usually you know when you can end it, when you can't get them to even get the leash tight anymore. They're just following you around. Then we do thresholds. So we'll walk up to our gate. Josh will open the door, and 100% of the time the dog tries to barrel in. That's when we can introduce nope, click, sit. This is all the beginnings of teaching the dog e-collar pressure means I have something to do with it. There's a consequence now for not listening. And I love using the threshold because it puts everything in context. You're not just telling him to sit for no reason. You sit while I open the door.
Verbal, stim.
Yes.
Not a tone,
Right.
Stim.
Yep.
And then sit. Okay.
So remember this, tone literally is only used to get the dog to you.
Okay.
Ever. Now, then we open the door. Dog usually looks up at us. Yes, Josh, what would you like me to do? Break. And then they go in our yard.
I was writing. Just repeat that one more time. So nope, stim, sit, then go ahead.
Then you reopen the door. Sometimes if the dog's not very smart, they'll make the same mistake again. And it's just nope, click. If they don't sit on their own, you use leash guidance. And you keep repeating that until you're able to open the door and they're sitting there looking at you. Then you can mark that with good.
Stim, sit. All right, so nope, stim, sit.
Yep.
Open the door again.
Yep.
Stim. Use leash to make sit. If you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And you repeat that until you've got a dog who's looking up at you with an open door, saying, "Can I have permission to go through?"
Hold this up. For permission.
So then we usually give them a little potty break. We'll use the tone again to get them back to us where we go in the kennel room.
Use tone to get them into
the kennel room. Yep. Because they've just learned this new skill where they hear this behind their ear. It means come to me right now, or you're getting a correction and a leash pop.
Okay.
Then we do a kennel protocol. The point of this session is for us to be able to say, well, we've started calling it place, but you can call it kennel, you can call it bed, you can call it crate. We don't end this session until we say place, point with a finger, and the dog goes in. Sounds so simple, but lots of them resist this.
Okay, so, all right. So here we have the pool room for the place, the platform, and then we have the crate.
Yes.
Okay, so you want them to go to either the crate or the place.
But they're following a pointed finger. That's how they know.
Okay, with pointed.
So it would be like place, very obvious with your finger, pointing into the kennel. You're holding onto the leash with your left hand. The dog either says sure and runs in, at which point you would say good job, give them a pet, give them food if they'll take it, or they say no. Okay, if they say no, you're going to be using your stim. You can try a bunch of things. You can try tap, 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 give a little leash pressure. Every time they yield to it, you release. Or you could give leash pressure as you're holding the remote and dialing up pressure until they yield.
But no tone on this.
No, because that means come towards you.
Right. Okay.
Now, I don't want to confuse you.
I got it.
Sometimes he will use a tone, and this is why. I don't want to confuse you.
I got you.
The dogs learn that tone means come to your body.
Yeah.
But we also use it to break them out of like a frozen state of mind. So you could have a dog resisting to go into a kennel, and you quick tap the tone, and it like breaks them of that serious state, and they move. So you can try that, and it does work. And then you can say good. They can't help but respond to that. We then make sure the dog understands to stay in the kennel, even with the door open. So every time they try to step a paw out, no.
Got it.
Stim on, guide them back. Then, when they're reliably staying in the kennel with the door open, you can say break and guide them out with the leash if they don't come out automatically. And you repeat the same thing over again until you have a dog who's just going in on their own with no leash guidance, no stim.
So I thought we were going to use the word heel because this way they don't break out of,
Yes, for right now, we're just teaching them you only can come out when I release you, but they don't know heel on the first day.
Got it.
Right?
We're at a heel now.
Yeah.
We did that leash thing where she was getting up. She was doing it. Now she just waits.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I would do if you want to get her out of the kennel without using the word break, I would say come, heel. Okay, and tap the tone, and then kind of tap your left leg, come, heel. So then, once the dog's going in and out fluently, no problems, no resistance, we say, good boy. We loosen the e-collar, and we set up a video camera.
All right, so let me go back a little bit. So we want to switch it instead of using B-R-E-A-K,
Yep.
Instead of heel, where I grab the leash, it's come,
Yep.
heel,
Yes.
tap tone,
Yep.
then tap leg. Right.
So you should be tapping the tone at the same exact time you say come.
Got it.
Yep.
Same time.
So
Got
then,
it.
For us, we loosen the collar a little bit because we don't want to leave that on too tight. Okay? We set up a video camera and we watch. We leave the room and we make sure they're not pawing at the bars, biting at the bars, or barking. Usually.
Power up. Why? And we're talking about the e-collar, correct?
Loosen it, yeah. I just don't want to. We don't want them to get sores because it's going to be on all day and the first night. Usually after that session of recall and then a bunch of kennel up exercises, they are mentally done.
Okay.
They are so done.
On computer.
Yep. But we so rarely get dogs like trying to demand bark to get out because they don't. At that point, they really don't want to come out because when they're out, they're working. So they're
only for an hour and a half.
I mean, it's a pretty well-oiled thing.
Yeah.
Once you start doing it on a lot of dogs every day, you can imagine how it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Not monotonous. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we kind of know, by now, like, how to keep it pretty efficient. And
Good.
you'll see it. If you ever come shadow us, you'll see it all.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming. I just, what's going on
So
here?
I think a lot.
Mark. Hui. Mark. Yeah. Hui. Yeah. Chaco, what make me do this? Yeah. Okay. Bull terriers, man, very tenacious.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
What was I saying?
Loosen e-collar, leave the room.
I know, I was just saying something about the shadows. Oh yeah. Nearly all the shadow students say, I've been doing way too much work with my dogs after seeing our protocols here because we do shorter but very meaningful sessions. And that's one of the things that is a big takeaway. So that's it for day one. That is literally it. Recall, thresholds, kennel. They will stay in that kennel until last call, which is usually around 7 p.m. And that is very structured. So it would be like we approach the kennel, we open the door, we correct if they try to bolt out, we close the door, we repeat. Leash goes on, come out of the kennel when we release them, sit at the threshold, wait for release out into the yard, do your business, beep, 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 comes back to us, sit, break, kennel, and it's very structured, step by step by step by step. And then they're in for the night, e-collar stays on, loose, we don't see them again until the next morning.
Right,
Day
so
2.
We're starting what time in the morning?
I usually have the dog dropped off at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
We usually start the session around 10 by the time the owners leave. By the time we get the tools on, we get our before footage. We do session 1, which is usually around an hour to an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do that. They'll go in their kennel usually around 11:30, noon. And then they soak all day. What I mean by soak is like they think about everything that just happened. And that is a real thing.
So they're back in the kennel at 12.
Yep. And
At 12.
Yep.
And then you don't touch them till the next morning.
We don't touch them until that night when we let them out to potty.
And they're doing a potty break during the session. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. And 7:30 they're in bed, right?
Yep. But the whole day, we're watching that video camera, making sure there's no nonsense. So they're training while they're in the kennel. They're learning that yeah. So then day 2, another structured potty. Like you wait to come out of the crate. You wait at the doorway. You come back to the tone when I call you. You wait to go back in the crate. You wait for your food. Right? That's usually around 7 a.m. And then we'll start the training day around 9. Here's something that helps us is that we always start with the most challenging dog first. So 9 a.m., bring the dog out. What are we going to work on today? Josh will usually recap all of day 1. But he starts adding things on now. So now, tone, he'll start adding the word come. So it'll be beep, come, leash guidance if needed, stim if they don't listen. He will
add a command,
Yep.
a code word.
Yep.
Okay.
He
And
will
now
yep. So it'll be tone, come, dog has a choice, stim, leash guidance. He will also add on sit, because yesterday all we wanted the dog to do was come to our space.
Now we want him sitting in front of us.
Now we add a sit. So it's come, sit, if they don't listen, stim, leash guidance. You can start adding duration to the sits, but the first couple are just a quick sit, good, break. Keep it successful because the dog's learning a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? But by the end of the session, your dog should be able to sit for as long as you need them to until you say break. Pop up too soon? No. Stim, sit. You should be able to walk circles around them. You should be able to crouch down and baby talk. All these mistakes are really important for them to make though, because they're learning no, they're learning no, they're learning what to do when they feel the stim, go back to your sit, and they're learning break means, okay, now I can be released. The key for this session is to find a moment where your dog really doesn't want to listen to you with the recall. Okay, so it's easy for us because we live in the woods, but you could like throw some food on the ground. A lot of times they catch a scent or they see a squirrel. So you gotta find a moment where they just don't want to listen.
All right, so let me go back. Are we done with day 2 or there's more to it?
So that's really it. We'll do recapping recall, adding a sit stay, and then back to the kennel, and that's it. That is it for day 2, and then they that's it. We won't touch them until dinner.
7:30. Dinner time, and dinner's in your kennel, right?
Yes, they wait for the food.
And then they go for a pee and shit.
That's
your
it.
8 o'clock bedtime.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing.
Day 3.
Go ahead.
Recap. Recall. Sit stay. Then we come in and do place.
All right, so recap day 1 and 2.
Yep.
And introduce
Place. Yep.
I did introduce place from day 1. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll clean it up on the next dog. Okay.
Yep. So we introduced place, and we have been using the e-collar. We don't use pressure on, pressure off like a lot of people do. Josh uses the e-collar more of that was wrong, try something else. Does that make sense? So he'll bring the dog in, he'll use his finger, place, point to the bed. Dogs aren't dumb. They know you're asking them to go to the bed, right?
Mhm.
If they don't do anything, he taps the collar. Try something. Okay? Try something at a mild number. If they try something, they get a good boy, even if it's wrong. Because we're looking for effort. If they are starting to blow you off, if they're not paying attention, if they're like not with you in the classroom, no, you punish them. Okay? You can do a leash pop, you can click the e-collar. You have to have a dog who's willing to learn. We'll give you all the answers, but you have to be trying. And we'll use some leash guidance if they need help. Guide them onto the bed. Good. Now, because of the sit stay that you've already perfected, they shouldn't get off the bed. If they do, no. Place. Okay? By this point, they're usually so tired, we can actually start to shape a down. See if they know it. Most dogs know it. But if they don't, if they're resisting the down, we won't push it. We'll just keep it.
All right, so day 3, we're recapping 1 and 2, introduce place.
Yep.
Back to the bed. Don't use e-collar. If not, then tap with a mild number.
Yep.
If they try but they're wrong, say good boy for trying.
Yes.
If the last piece I didn't get, if they absolutely refuse or...
Yeah, if you just feel like you're with an animal that's not trying, you have to punish the lack of effort. Okay. Yeah. So like they've got to be with you. You've got to be training a dog who wants to learn.
Got it.
And so you're just gonna try to give them all the answers, and then you're gonna use your e-collar for that was wrong.
Right.
Try
so
something else. No. Yeah. So you're gonna use your pointed finger. Place. Use your leash to try to guide them on. If they're resisting, try to use your pressure to guide them on the bed. But usually, if you do days 1 and 2 right, they're not going to try to resist your pressure because you've established this relationship with them where they want to move with you. Once they're on the bed.
Yeah, so let's just say they're just, really resisting on purpose or whatever.
Yeah.
They're blowing you off. What am I tapping? We're tapping at a higher number?
If they're blowing you off, like if they're like this, I like to use the dial-up method. You ever use that?
No, I still gotta get that done.
So
I can't wait to get rid of this one dog, and then all my concentration's on her.
So you hold the button and you have 10 seconds to dial up. So if a dog's going like this, I don't want to get on the bed. Pressure on at a low number. Dial, 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 dial until they move, then release. They resist again, back on. So they're gonna learn if I yield to this pressure and if I follow this lady's pointed finger, everything's good.
Moves away. Okay.
Yeah. And so then once you get them on the bed, good boy, celebrate it, pets, everything, make it memorable. Don't go right into another rep. Don't be rep happy. Really celebrate that. Tell them to sit and just let them chill there, petting, make it memorable, okay? A couple minutes later, break. They don't know what that means usually in that context, so you use the leash to get them off. Good boy. Let's do it again. Place, use your finger, guide them on. Good boy. If they understand when you say that word, follow the pointed finger, and they get on the bed, you don't need to do 3,000 reps.
Right.
So after like 2 or 3 reps of that, we'll leave them on the bed, put the tie back on, and start knocking, throwing stuff around. Now we're looking for them to step off, and we're correcting and putting them back on.
Mm-hmm.
So by day 3, we've got recall, sit, place, threshold manners, and kennel manners. The only things left to teach are heel and down.
Okay.
Now, day 4 is when we start to shape the heel. This is going to blow your mind.
I'm all ears.
We will actually turn the recall into a heel. Because when you're recalling the dog towards you, all you need to do is turn and you catch their left side. And you keep walking. Heel, pretend that you're a tree and the dog is in the shade next to you. Anytime the dog moves out of the shade, that heel spot, pressure's on. At a low number. Something that they feel, because remember, you're teaching. Pressure on, guide back. Good, that's a rep.
Repeat that, because I'm still writing.
Yes.
All right, so heel is shaping, turn, re-pull to the heel by turning to left side.
Yep. And then you just start walking. And you're going to be, when that dog's at that left side in the heel position, good. Pet, 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 pet. Our style is to hold the leash, not so tight, but we actually let the dog make mistakes. We let them go up front. We let them go to the side. We let them fall behind. We let them go behind our legs. But every time they do, pressure on, guide back, release.
When you say guide back, you verbally do that?
With your hand, you're going to use the leash and guide them back into heel position. Until they figure out, I better stay right here because it's nice and cool here. Every time I go forward, every time I go to the left or behind her legs, pressure's on.
Okay.
So that's how we start to shape the heel position. And that is a really mentally draining session for the dog.
How long is that day?
The whole day?
Yeah.
Well, after we do the heel session, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes, we will come in, and usually the dog is exhausted by this point.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come in, we'll, again, recap place, and then we add down.
On day 4?
Yes.
All right, so it's heel. Wait a minute. Okay, it's heel first,
Mm-hmm.
then recap day 1, 2, and 3.
Yep, you're always going to be adding in. So you'll release the dog to be on free time, to have a break, but then you're going to use your recall to sit to get him back to you. So that's like recap naturally.
Okay.
And then you'll do a heel session. But the magic behind this is by the time you do all that, you bring the dog in, you're leveraging how tired they are to shape it down. Because they probably want to lay down.
Right.
So now,
let me understand this right. I'm sorry.
okay.
Day 4, we're recapping 1, 2, and 3 first, or we're going into a heel first?
So day 4, we'll usually do like a couple recalls, maybe 1 or 2. Let the dog because the dog needs to go potty before the session anyway.
Right.
Right? So at the end of the potty, at the end of the break, use your tone recall, get him back to you and say, look, we're going to learn something new. I'm going to teach you what heel position is. And then like after a couple successful reps, you have them sit, release them to have fun, and then recall them back.
Okay.
So everything is snowballing at this point. We're using everything until all of a sudden it's like, wow, the dog just learned all 5 commands in 4 days. Because we're rolling one into the other.
All right, let me read this back to you because this one, day 4, is going to be huge because I've got almost everything else done.
Yes.
So day 4, we're recapping days 1, 2, and 3. Do repulls and use the tone to repull 3-4 reps and give a few breaks in between. Okay, in between.
Yep.
Then we're going to go teach them, number 2, a heel. We're going to do the shaping. Turn the repull to a heel by turning onto the left side. Start walking. Tell them good boy while they're in heel position. Let the dog make mistakes. Pressure on. Lead back with leash until they are in position. Pressure on. Okay. Go ahead.
Now, then we come in and shape the down.
Now shape down.
Most dogs in our experience already know down. They just don't listen. But usually at some point in a dog's life, the owner has said, go lay down.
Right. Sure.
They know what it means. They just don't do it when you ask them to. So we leverage off what they already know. Mm-hmm. And then they just learn that if you don't listen to us when we say down, we'll tap this collar and that means to down.
Okay. So most dogs know this. Plus, they're tired anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Use tap. Use tap for down.
So this is how we start to pattern down on the place bed.
Got it.
Now, this is another really important moment. After we finish all of that, we go back to the kennel. This is the first time we can really ask the dog to down inside the kennel because we've taught them what it means.
This is after so
yes.
Now we go, so parent to send to kennel.
Yep. You're going to close the gate. Now you're going to ask them to down. Because in this moment, so many dogs will say, no thanks. Because they think that they're in the kennel, the leash is off, they don't have to listen. Uh-huh. You might see a fight here. And that's because the dog, it truly believes that it's back in its safe space. There's no leash on. I don't have to listen. I feel big and bad behind these bars. And even though we've just had this wonderful session on down, they think they don't have to do it. It's a mental block.
Right.
And so we'll have that some dogs lay down like butter, but some dogs, it's just another mental reason why they're with you, because they don't think they need to listen to people. So we won't stop until we get that dog into a down with e-collar on. Okay, and that's it. After day 4, now it's just recapping every day. Now we're just practicing every day, all the skills.
All right, so day 4, how long, you're telling me it's about 30 to 40 minutes before we start shaping the down?
Yes, but that's with Josh, who does this every day. I mean, yours might be longer, You don't want to end that heel session until you feel like the dog truly understands what it means when you say heel, they're glued to your left leg.
Yeah.
Okay? After that, now we just start practicing.
So day 5 through 16.
Yep, we'll start sending them to place. We'll recall from place to place. We'll get reps in with downs on the place bed, recall from kennel to place to kennel. We might do heel around the social yard, heel around our driveway, recalls from break time, and then we'll start proofing. We'll start doing downstay proofing, where we take the dog, put him in a downstay, throw a ball by, bring another dog out.
Distractions,
yeah. So we just want, our goal for this is, okay, we've taught all the commands. Now we need to teach you not to break, even though there's big distractions. And if you do make a mistake, a tap on the e-collar defaults you back into position. Once we feel like we have this, we go off property.
So remember, it's distance, duration, distraction.
Yes.
Okay, so we have worked on duration. We've now worked on, I don't know about 100% on distance, maybe yes. And now I know, okay,
a good way to do distance is to have her on the long line outside, so she kind of feels like she's free. Put her in a down and start walking away. If she pops up, no. Click, down. And now you're creating some impulse control, where just because a human's walking away from you doesn't mean you follow them. It means you stay in your downstay. And that's going to make her reliable for the owners if they want to take her places out in public and put her in a downstay.
Okay, so the pattern on place and bed is to send to the kennel. All right, so let me just go back to day 4. It's a lot. And then I'm going to go down to day 5 through 16. All right, so recap day 1, 2, and 3. This is day 4. And do recalls, use tone for the recalls, 3-time reps, get a few breaks in between. All right, then we're going to go into heel shaping, turn the recall to a heel by turning to the left side, start walking. Good, praise them when they're in position, in heel position. Let the dog make mistakes, pressure on, lead back with leash until they're in position, pressure off. Now we're going to start shaping the down. Most dogs know down, plus they're tired, use tap for down, okay? Then,
and we also use a hand signal. So we'll say, before we add the word, I'll start to go. Okay. This is what people do to their dogs when they want them to down. So it's kind of obvious what you're asking the dog to do. Right. If they still say, no, thank you.
Don't use words first.
I'll start tapping as I'm doing the hand signal.
Tap and hand signal.
Right? If they still need help, I'll say, down. Down. The final thing, if they can't put the puzzle pieces together, is leash guidance down.
Okay. I had a fight with her, I think, on day 4. It was really, she's tough. But
90% of dogs you're going to have some sort of fight with.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because you're going to run into a moment where you're asking them to do something and they don't want to do it. And they are going to try everything that's worked in the past to get them out of it.
Right.
Once you have this fight and you win, usually it's over. Some dogs make you do it a couple times, but after you have that conversation, you've usually gained enough respect where the dog's just not going to try that anymore because it doesn't work.
All right. Okay. So finishing up with day 4, okay? You said this is very important, so I put an asterisk. It says pattern on place or bed. Send dog to kennel, close, after a down, tap them until they go down.
Yep.
Okay.
And most dogs are going to say, no, I'm in my kennel. I don't have to listen to you. We're
Right,
going
so
after the mental.
Kablammy. All right. So now day 5 through 16 is practice.
Yes.
Choose heel, re-pull, down, stay, re-pull, or platform to platform, re-pull to bed, bed to place, place to sit, down, blah, blah. But all the time, the place command should always be a down.
Yes.
Always, always, always.
Yes.
Okay, that one from the other day. Okay.
Yep.
And then if you get all this, okay, and you're talking baby talk and
Yep.
you're, what else? So, what else? What else? did you
Throwing
say?
balls by, knocking, things like that.
Okay, all that stuff. Then try going outside with I have the backpack, I got the
Yeah.
whatever, and try doing that. So I've been doing that now, and she has been making mistakes, but I keep correcting her. I haven't used tone, I've just been using spin back and forth. I'm almost trying to put a square peg into a round hole right now because I didn't get all of this until the last, since we started our session, I didn't get the whole day 1
Yeah.
through 4, right? So I couldn't, I gotta keep working her.
Right.
So she's been here a month and she's got mostly the whining is still an issue. She last 2 days she started a pinch, not much. She's trying, so I'm gonna go back to eco because I did twang her with the thing 2-3 times. She sees it and she's like, "Whoa, shit!" I'm like, "Oh, boy."
There have been a couple dogs. I can think of 3 dogs out of like a couple hundred where they whined until the day they went home, and unless that bark collar was on, they were whining. You might have a dog like this, but it's never been something we couldn't stop with the bark collar.
Okay.
But her hair, you got to get a good contact.
Yeah.
And it has to be right here.
Yeah.
But there are some dogs that will just relentlessly whine and whine and whine and whine no matter what you do.
We're at heel. All right. So day 5 through 16, practice all these with distractions. They should not break.
Yep.
The big thing for this pain in the ass is when I go outside. It's gotten better, but I'm always afraid that it's going to go back to what it was once I handle within like a day or 2 that the client has the dog. I feel that there's going to be a lot of regression.
Yeah. So okay. When you send a dog home, the final result, the final product is a dog who knows and understands all the commands. And if they don't listen, owner can tap a button and they do. This is what we tell owners. We do our go home session. 2 hours long. We go over everything.
Everything that you went over with me?
No, we go over all the commands inside and outside with the owner handling the dog.
Okay, but no, I understand that. What I'm saying.
So
do you necessarily show them how you taught the story? You just
no. Well, we do through our videos. We get every dog has a video up every day of every session.
Okay.
And they're watching that, so they've seen the whole progress. They don't want to know how to teach the dog. They just want the finished product.
Right.
So I will sit down with them and say, be prepared for when you get home for your dog to all of a sudden act untrained because they're back at their old stomping grounds where they're used to having a lot more freedom. This is where I bark. This is where I break out of my crate. This is where I don't come when called. We tell them, have the remote set to 75. The first time you ask them to do something and they don't do it, firm correction. The first time they break place in your house, they're on a tie back, 75. The people that do this, and then I say, then take your numbers down. But we are setting a tone here that is telling the dog everything that you did at Julie's house applies here too, because I can go just as firm as she can. The clients that do that have no problems because the dog goes, oh shit, everything I learned applies here too. The e-collar has to do the talking because the client can't do it. Does that make sense?
Got it.
And they're instructed to keep the leash on in the house at least for a week.
Yeah, leash on, long line for me.
Yes. E-collar, if the e-collar's off, the program's off. Don't try to call your dog if the e-collar's not on. And don't call me saying the dog didn't come.
Keep collar on. So keep collar on forever.
If you want your dog to listen. I tell people, this is an e-collar program. If the e-collar is not on your dog, the program is not on your dog. Don't expect your dog to just magically listen to you. It's just not the way the world works. You have to have a way to hold them accountable. Now, I say we recommend 3 months of structure, 3 months of e-collar always on in the house. And I say after 3 months, give them a little more freedom in the house. Each dog is a little different. If they immediately regress, put the collar back on. Like, it's not worth that. Some dogs can handle it, some dogs can't. We recommend collar on outside for life because I just can't predict what happens outside. I don't want to hear, oh, we got a little comfortable and then we stopped using the collar, but then we saw a black bear and it's gone. It makes sense, right?
Okay. But collar on for life outside.
Yes.
All right, got it. So knows and understands commands, owner taps, and then they understand the dog. Okay. Be prepared to act. Be prepared for the dog to act untrained.
Yep.
Or dog.
I know.
Act trained. Set 75 with a free correction first time.
Yep.
And then.
So this to get even more specific. We say downstay for the whole ride home. We want you to walk in to your house, and the first thing I want you to do is put your dog on play there. This is creating a new association to your house where it's no bullshit. Now your dog's gonna listen to you. Instead of loosey-goosey, oh, welcome home. It's been 3 weeks. Let's have so much fun. Now you have to backtrack.
All right. So let me get this right. Ride home. Hold on.
Downstay.
Downstay, excuse me.
In the back seat, yep.
Place, come in. Place, we'll tie back to a bull.
Understand it.
Pick a few numbers down. Everything at my home applies to your home too. E-collar has to do the talking. Long line for a week. Keep collar on forever.
Yep.
The program is not on your dog if no e-collar.
Yep.
3 months structure and e-collar to possibly gain more freedom.
Yes.
If good, then try it without. Okay?
Yeah. I always say, give them
power on for life outside.
Give them as much freedom as they can handle.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you start letting stuff slip, you can always get it back. You put the collar on and you start implementing the structure, and you correct the dog anytime it tries to fight back.
All right, so I think our next session, whether it's with you or with Gabby, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I like you both. I think the next one is gonna be not this. What are we on? Today's Friday.
Today's Friday. You've got some stuff to work on, you think? Like the tone and all that?
I'm gonna set that up now as soon as I hang up. And then I think not this Monday, but I think Friday is going to give me time.
Yep.
I got to start stretching it out a little bit because I've been
I would also start taking her off property, even just like a gas station entrance.
Yeah.
And have her hold a downstay with people walking by, with cars driving by. Start having her generalize these commands.
Okay.
Home Depot main entrance. Take her on a walk somewhere that's not your property, because a lot of times it can feel really good in your yard, and then holy shit, we're at Home Depot and it's like she doesn't know what I'm doing.
Right.
You gotta make sure. Yeah, you gotta.
The flooring on the feet, I get it. They get tripped up.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question. The platform that they have, you got them on a low one. I have this 1 footer to make sure that they're clear, that they can't put clothes on.
Yeah.
Or do that Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Ours are low to the ground and they get it. It's
Okay.
still obvious, like step off and down.
I went to look at that and I fell asleep. You don't know. I'm in my head. It's dogs all day long. So I'm on the computer. It's on
Yeah.
my belly, and I'm almost on the website. Next thing I woke up, I'm like, shit,
Oh
I
my
fell
gosh.
asleep.